Hello and welcome from Hamburg in Germany. I wanted to make a joke about the sun never being out, but it actually just came out, and that's why the light keeps turning off inside. But anyway, good morning. At least it's morning here. Let me know in the comments where you are listening from, and if you can maybe send some sun over to my colleague Vitaly, who is apparently still sitting in the dark. Before we start with the session, I want to remind everyone to please join the Devtoberfest group in the SAP community, because that is where you will be getting all the updates on Devtoberfest and all the sessions you can join. And hello, Vitaly from Wrocław, from Hamburg to Wrocław, sorry. Yeah, so join the Devtoberfest group in the SAP community. That's how you can take part in the contest. And this year, for example, the grand prize of the contest is a trip to the ASAC Tech Connect event in Florida. How can you earn points? Well, you can listen to sessions like this and then take the validation tutorials after. You find all the information about that usually in the description. I'm going to add the validation tutorial later today when all the sessions are over, and also in the Devtoberfest group in the SAP community, obviously. And there you can find all kinds of other tutorials you can also take to collect points in the contest. Yeah, today's the second week of Devtoberfest, and it's Thursday. So today all the sessions are about machine learning, AI, and data. And we will start with our speaker, Abhishek, who is from the ISLM team. And I know I keep saying this in front of every session of Devtoberfest this year, but it is true again. I'm very excited about this session because it again is something that I have not tried out myself. So I'm definitely going to listen myself. I'm very excited to learn how I can use ISLM to integrate generative AI or any AI into S4. So Abhishek, why don't you introduce yourself and then you can just share your screen and start.
Thanks, Nara, for setting the stage. Hello, everyone. My name is Abhishek. I'm a product owner in ISLM team, and ISLM is a part of cloud and lifecycle management area. So with this, I'll start the session. I'll share my screen. So very warm welcome from my side for this session on integrating generative AI in SAP S4 HANA with ISLM. Quick disclaimer, we'll also be making certain forward-looking statements, so yeah, which can also change in future. So just a remark or a disclaimer from our side. Quick look into the agenda. So we start with what is SAP's business AI and how ISLM comes into the bigger picture, how you can leverage ISLM to utilize the pre-built AI use cases which are delivered out of the box from SAP S/4HANA in public and private cloud, and then how you can also build your own custom use cases, either leveraging the HANA-based capabilities or also leveraging generative AI now offered from Generative AI Hub. We also have a demo along with the details of how you can leverage ISLM to also build your own custom scenarios. We also talk about roadmap to understand what we have delivered in ISLM in the past few releases and what is our plan for the future. So we know that this is a picture you would have seen a lot of times. So the vision from our side or from SAP side is to enable every organization to become an intelligent enterprise. So at the top of it, you now have Joule, you have AI, and every business application should become an AI-powered application, right? So that you have the automation, the manual works can be avoided. And this is where ISLM comes into the bigger picture. So first, let's try to understand what is ISLM and what are its key benefits. Before we start, what is ISLM and its key benefits, let's little bit and try to understand what is machine learning and the historical reason to start ISLM. So with machine learning, we all understand that you have a model, right? It's based on certain kind of a formula, certain kind of a calculation. You give it an input and the model can give you an output back, right? Now, when you talk about a machine learning model, it has a life cycle which is involved. You have to train the model based on the data which resides on your own customer landscape. You have to view the quality of the model, and then you decide whether the model should be used productively in your business applications or not. And the such complex lifecycle management is a difficult challenge, right? And you want to manage the lifecycle from an S4HANA box. Lifecycle management is one challenge. The second part is standardization, because every AI use case has to deliver similar kind of a capability to manage the lifecycle or to integrate the AI model into their business processes with a low-code approach. And such challenges becomes very difficult to solve without a kind of a centralized or a harmonized framework which does everything on your behalf. So you can just understand that it is a simple framework with which you can integrate your AI capabilities into your business processes in SAP S/4HANA in different versions of on-premise, public, and private cloud. Plus, you can leverage the pre-built use cases. And you also need a kind of a single entry point to understand what are those pre-built use cases across different lines of business that SAP has shipped for you, how you can easily get started, how you can activate those use cases in your environment, and all these challenges ISLM solves for you. What are the capabilities that we offer when it comes to SAP S/4HANA and in the world of AI? Is with ISLM, you can discover what are those pre-delivered use cases, AI use cases, which has been shipped in S/4HANA public cloud, private cloud, as well as on-premise. And then you can leverage ISLM to enable those use cases in your environment, which basically means that you can train your machine learning models, you can view the quality, you can decide which model to use productively in your business process. Also, ISLM offers the custom creation possibilities, where you as customers and partners can also build your own custom AI use cases, leveraging the SAP supported AI technologies like HANA based machine learning or side by side based on SAP BTP. One of the complex challenges which I also talked about was the integration. How do you integrate the AI models into the business process with a low code approach? And this is also one of the key capabilities that ISLM provides. And almost all the different AI services and AI runtimes are also then supported with ISLM. End-to-end lifecycle management is possible. You can run the prerequisite checks for pre-delivered use case to understand such pre-delivered use cases will work in your environment or not. You can do the end-to-end lifecycle management. Your customers and partners can build their own custom AI use cases. Plus, you can leverage the pre-built ones. Yeah. So, in simple, short words, if you want to understand, if it takes you say 100 days to build an AI use case with ISLM, you could build it in 10 days or 15 days. So it basically brings in that developer efficiency, where you as developers could easily onboard, get started with your use case, and everything is then the complete ISLM framework is built in SAP basis software component and part of S/4HANA ABAP stack. So whether if you are in S/4HANA public cloud, private cloud, or on-premise, you can leverage ISLM and build your own AI use case, integrate with your business process, and get started easily. Simple example here, we have a AI use case of sales order auto completion. So what this use case does is, when you have a sales order, there can be a lot of sales order which are in incomplete status. It is incomplete because certain fields does not have a value in the sales order. And here we are using BTP service, which is called Data Attribute Recommendation Service. And ISLM helps you to connect or integrate the AI model into a business application. And then end-to-end lifecycle management could be performed very easily, and the AI use case could be enabled in your system. You can get started and you can start then getting predictions from the AI model, so that this missing fields can be auto predicted from the model, so that the sales order goes into a complete status. So simple example where ISLM can then help you into the end-to-end AI journey then to deliver your use case. This is a kind of a picture which is in detail. So if you see here, ISLM is in the SAP S/4HANA stack, and then you have the business applications running in the S/4HANA ABAP stack, and you can also leverage different ML runtimes such as HANA-based machine learning based on EPL and PAL, and you can also leverage all the BTP supported AI technologies. Like you can leverage AI Core to build your own custom AI use cases. You can leverage some of the pre-built, some of the AI services like data attribute recommendation, document information extraction. You can also build your own generative AI use case in ISLM, because ISLM also then provides you the connectivity to generative AI hub, and then you can also get APIs to easily execute your prompts in the S/4HANA ABAP context. It's a single entry point. Single entry point basically means that the first challenge is to understand what are those pre-delivered use cases, how to get started. And this is one of the problems which ISLM solves for you. There are around 25 plus pre-built AI use cases which are delivered across different lines of business, like sourcing, finance, supply chain, procurement, so on and so forth. And those can be leveraged, and you can easily get started with these pre-built AI use cases. And it's a standard framework available free of cost. You don't have to pay any additional license to leverage ISLM. It's part of the S/4HANA standard license and free of charge, as I mentioned. and it's part of the SAP basis software component. So we made our first shipment in S/4HANA 2020 SPS 0 release, and since then we have been adding new capabilities in ISL. Main advantage is also you can not only leverage the pre-built AI use cases which are delivered via ISLM in SAP S/4HANA public cloud, private cloud, and on-premise, but you can also leverage ISLM to build your own custom AI use cases if such pre-delivered AI use case does not solve your problem. Right? And with generative AI, now we are also offering an integrated solution with ISLM and ABAP AI SDK so that you get the best of both the worlds. ISLM offers you the connectivity to generative AI hub. It offers you lifecycle management. It offers you a way to store your prompt templates efficiently on the ABAP side. Whereas ABAP AI SDK then offers you simple, easy to consume ABAP APIs to execute your prompts and to get the results from the LLM models, which can then be integrated into your business processes in SAP S/4HANA. We are also working to enable ISLM and SAP BTP cloud environment as a part of the clean core strategy. And this is something that I will also talk about in the roadmap part. We'll also be sharing the slides so you can go through the links. We also have a SAP community topic page where the most relevant up-to-date information to learn ISLM basically resides in terms of health center documentation, podcasts, hands-on materials, and guides. So do take a look at this community page to get started with ISLM. Now, focusing on what are the main capabilities we offer, and so one important thing that you would have noticed is we started the ISLM journey with classical or narrow AI, right? So with classical and narrow AI, you require a model which needs to be trained on the data which is there in the customer's S/4HANA system. And here, ISLM can definitely be leveraged to perform the model management activities with an ease. You just have to click on few buttons and the use case is enabled for use. So we support both narrow and generative AI, and now we have enhanced ISLM to also support all those large language models which are also supported by Generative AI Hub. You get a connectivity to Generative AI Hub from the S/4HANA ABAP stack, and then you also get easy to consume ABAP APIs with which you can easily integrate a large language model into a business process with a simple low code approach. It's a single entry point, which is basically designed for a non-ML ML expert. So we try to simplify ISLM as much as possible for a kind of a business administrator persona who has a knowledge about the business process and has a basic machine learning knowledge to work with ISLM. So we try to make things more business context specific. It's everything is in the context of a business process or a business application. Without having too much of knowledge on AI ML, you can still work with ISLM with a simple basic knowledge. It's part of the SAP S/4HANA standard ABAP shipment with S/4HANA private cloud, on-premise, and public cloud as well. And one of the most important capability that we offer is an ease of AI integration. So you get the end-to-end lifecycle management, definitely, which becomes easy to use, but the AI integration, to integrate the AI models, to manage the lifecycle of such models becomes very easy with ISLM. We support the comprehensive lifecycle management. You can start with a discovery phase. You can discover what are those AI use cases. You can create certain documentation to start with those AI use cases. And then you can perform several set of steps with ISLM to enable that use case in your environment. You also get the prerequisite check framework to understand whether such pre-delivered use case will even work in the customer's environment or not. What is the quality of the AI model? Should I activate it, not activate it? How do I control which model should be used in the business process? All those capabilities are then offered by ISLM. And you can then manage your own custom AI use cases plus the pre-delivered one efficiently with one single framework, offering you a standardized and a harmonized lifecycle management. These are the key capabilities. Coming to the roles and personas. So if you're talking about a classical or a narrow AI, the journey basically starts with an AI engineer who basically do several rounds of iteration to identify which is the best machine learning algorithm to be used. And once you have done all your machine learning testing and iteration, or it's a data scientist, then the next challenge is how do I integrate the AI model? How do I perform the life cycle management of such an AI model from an S/4HANA ABAP stack? And that's where ISLM comes into the bigger picture, where an ABAP developer can start writing the ABAP logic to integrate such AI models into their business process. You get several set of APIs offered by ISLM, and you create an entity which is called as an intelligent scenario. So an intelligent scenario is a leading entity in ISLM, which represents an AI use case. right? So you define certain meta information in an intelligent scenario, that how do you fetch your data, what are your inputs to train the model, what are your outputs, and then your scenario gets treated as an ABAP artifact. And then you can, a technical administrator could manage the connection, if in case it is a side-by-side scenario, to the business technology platform AI services. And a business admin here, which is like a user, could then work on ISLM, train the machine learning models, view the quality of the models, deploy them, and then also activate them for productive use. And finally, it will be a business user, like a sales representative or a financial accountant, who is doing certain business specific job. And those users would then see the results coming from an AI model to get that automation, save time. The manual efforts are not then required when you talk about AI. This is like an end-to-end picture, how your AI journey starts and how ISLM can then help you to integrate your AI model into the business process and perform end-to-end lifecycle management in a simple, easy way, uh, and in standardized and harmonized way, not looking into different complex frameworks to do and achieve the same. We have also enhanced ISLM with a lot of new capabilities. But one of the main capabilities I will also be talking about would be the turnkey part. So, what is the meaning of a turnkey? So, if you see any pre-delivered AI use case from SAP S/4HANA, either if it is in public cloud or if it is in private cloud, you'll see that there's an effort required to activate an AI use case or to enable an AI use case in a customer's environment. You have to do certain prerequisite checks, you have to train the models, you have to view the quality of such models, you have to deploy them, activate them. A basic data science knowledge is also required to understand the model quality. And this is a problem which Turnkey solves for you. Turnkey is, in simple short words, and is an auto activation of an AI use case. That basically means that you just click on a toggle button called on, and then use case is active for you, right? So the entire uh, work which a business admin or a user has to do gets automated with a single button click. Where, yeah, when you want to leverage such pre-delivered use case, you don't have to really understand when to train the model or which model is better, the model which was trained 1 month back or the model which is getting trained today. You don't have to get into certain complexities. Everything is then taken care from SAP side as a part of the turnkey approach, where the use case completely gets auto activated in your system with a single click of a button. Yeah. We are also working to and even avoid the single button click and automatically activate certain such AI use case if all the prerequisites are met. You can also leverage Turnkey to also see like which models were activated, which models are performing better, and so on and so forth. So it's basically then helps you to easily adapt so to such pre-delivered use cases which are offered from SAP S/4HANA. Talking about the pre-delivered use cases, there are 25 such pre-delivered use cases in SAP S/4HANA, public cloud, private cloud. So these are across different lines of business. So, for example, we have use cases in finance, we have use cases in sourcing and procurement, we have the use cases in sales, we have the use cases in supply chain. So ISLM as a cockpit basically provides you an easy access to all such pre-delivered use case, and you can get a lot of insights to easily get started with those use case and start working on them and enable such use cases in your environment easily and efficiently. What are those such AI use cases? I cannot go into all those 25 in the interest of time, but just taking a subset of them. So one of the important use case that we have added currently from S4 side is a sales order auto completion use case. This I already talked about, that the sales order could go into an incomplete status, and such incomplete sales order causes delivery delays. And this AI use case then enables you to get the recommendations from a machine learning model, where the values of the missing fields in the sales order are auto-populated so that the sales order gets into the completed status and the delivery delay and the manual effort can be avoided. We also have use cases around the sales order creation from an unstructured data, where you have a purchase order in a PDF format, and then you can upload your purchase order, and then based on the document information extraction AI service on BTP, the sales order then gets created automatically. We also have use cases like supplier delivery day prediction, where you can know whether the goods will be supplied on time, or whether delivery will be on time or it will be delayed. We have also use cases around the public sector area, where you can know whether the entities will file taxes on time, or whether there will be a risk of late payment or a late receivership. So there are such 25 plus use cases, and do get started. We also have a SAP community blog, which basically talks about these new use cases and how to then enable them in your environment. A list of upcoming use cases. So generally the pattern is we see a lot of more generative AI based use cases now getting delivered from S/4HANA public cloud as well as private cloud, which are those pre-delivered use cases. So one such use case is maintenance order recommendation, where you can easily create a maintenance order with the power of AI by referring to the similar kind of a maintenance order. And then we also get a lot of use cases around transportation management, around behavioral insight. We also get a Fiori summarization use case where you can use a large language model to summarize the content of a sales order into some meaningful insights, into kind of a summary of a sales order. And then you also get deprecation keys, which can explain you the keys in a business facing language so that it becomes much more easier to adopt to your use cases. And then also we have use cases in MDG, smart change requests, and there will be a lot of further generative AI use case, pre-delivered use cases coming in public and private cloud as we speak here. The first shipment of these AI use cases was already made with public cloud 2408 as a kind of a beta shipment for you to explore those use cases, learn and get started. And these use cases were also delivered in private cloud with 2023 SPS02 release, which will be, I think, made available to the customers and partners in the next few weeks. Yeah. The list will keep increasing as we see a trend of increasing number of AI use cases in S4. So do leverage these pre-built AI use cases and get started with your AI journey. Now, talking about what is the end-to-end flow or business flow when you talk about these pre-built AI use cases, right? How to get started? What exactly do you have to do? So we have two clusters of a use case. So one is like an embedded AI use case. What is the meaning of embedded? It basically means that it is using an HANA-based algorithms like APL and PAL, and the data to train the machine learning models stay within the S4 stack. And in a side-by-side use case, it basically means that you're using SAP Business Technology Platform to leverage the AI use case, and here the data will then go to BTP for model training. With such AI use case, what you can do with ISLM, you can first use ISLM as an exploration or a discovery tool to discover what are those AI use cases, right? Which applications they belong to, what is a line of business, and then you can also execute certain prerequisite checks to know whether your S/4HANA system has the readiness requirement to even work on such kind of use cases. That means for narrow or classical AI, you require certain amount of data to train the machine learning models. You need to view the quality of the models, deploy and activate them. So all these capabilities are then offered, yeah, with this kind of readiness check to also ensure that you have the right data quantity and the right data quality to leverage such pre-delivered AI use case. And then you can use ISLM to train the machine learning models, deploy the models, activate them, and then you can also run them productively within your business process. So with this, we can move to the generative AI based scenarios. So with ISLM, we started our journey with classical or narrow AI, where the model has to be trained for every customer based on the data which resides in the landscape. And now we have also enhanced ISLM to for customers and partners to also build their own custom generative AI scenarios, which will already be live in a few months or weeks. And then you also get such pre-delivered AI use cases in S/4HANA public and private cloud that you can also leverage. What are the capabilities we offer? We provide a simple integration between the business application and then to generative AI hub, which then you provide you an access to different large language models. You start your journey by creating a generative AI scenario, which is basically known as an intelligent scenario in ISLM. ISLM then offers you the connectivity to generative AI hub, where if you have the service key from GenAI hub, you can just upload the service key on the ABAP side and the required ABAP artifacts to establish the connection between the S/4HANA ABAP stack to the generative AI hub is then established. We also offer you a way to manage your prompt templates within the ABAP stack. You can extend your prompt templates and then also execute your prompts with a low-code approach. And we are now having a joint unified solution with ISLM and ABAP AI SDK. It will be ABAP AI SDK powered by ISLM, which can be leveraged by all business AI use cases. And ABAP AI SDK will then provide you certain ABAP APIs to execute your prompts with a low-code approach. We also then provide the turnkey or an auto enablement for such pre-delivered use case so that such pre-delivered use cases are auto-activated in customer system so that the customers can directly start leveraging those AI use cases. Looking at a consumption flow, how it looks like. So let me switch to the laser mode. So we start with a business user who will be basically working on a business app or a business screen. And here, LLM model has been integrated, right? So how to integrate the LLM model? This is where an application developer or an app developer comes into the picture, where an app developer would basically leverage the APIs offered by SAP AI SDK to integrate the LM models into their business process. They also create an intelligent scenario as a leading entity, define their prompt templates, define which LM models to use, and then also define certain meta information associated with the scenario. You get a connectivity. We also provide a lifecycle management to deploy such LM models to generative AI hub. So the end-to-end lifecycle management, end-to-end integration is then offered by ISLM and SAP AI SDK to integrate and build and operate your generative AI scenarios in a standardized and harmonized way. I'll also be showing an end-to-end demo here. So how the process looks like if you have an S/4HANA business application and you have an AI use case, you can then leverage ISLM to create the intelligent scenarios. You can add your engineered prompt templates, you publish your scenario, and then technical admin could maintain the connection to generative AI hub. You can deploy your LM models, activate them, and then you also get an ABAP APIs to execute and get the results from an LM models just with few lines of code. I'll also be showing how the coding looks like, and then the model could be consumed in the S4HANA business processes in an easy, efficient, and a standardized way. So looking at the demo, so these are such as some of the pre-delivered use case. We have two Fairy apps in Iceland. Typically, one is Intelligent Scenarios app. This is where you see the pre-delivered AI use cases across different lines of business. And I think one such use case which I was talking about was in the sales area. So if you're interested in a sales use case, you can click on sales, and I could then see all the sales relevant use cases here getting filtered out. For example, if I'm interested in sales order auto completion use case, you can just click on this link to get certain additional information. And with this, you can easily start with your AI use case. And with the second app of ISLM, you do the entire model management. For example, here you can turn on the turnkey toggle to auto activate this use case. This is not supported for all the use cases, but most of the use cases will also be adopting this trend as we talk. But there are some front-end use cases which has already adopted to this turnkey approach. So with this, if you want to go where the manual approach, that is also possible. So you can just perform certain prerequisite checks, and you can know whether your system has the prerequisite to leverage this pre-delivered AI use case, whether you have the right quantity of data, whether your connection to the art service is working, whether your scope items are activated, so on and so forth. Plus, yeah, you can also perform the entire lifecycle management, model management. You can train the models with a click of a button. You can view the model matrix, and then you can deploy and activate the model for productive usage. This is around the classical and narrow AI. This, I think most of you would already be aware of, and then the deployment and activation can be performed. We're talking about a generative AI. How do we start our journey? So I'm talking about a custom generative AI scenario, how you can leverage and build with ISLM. The first starting point is to create an intelligent scenario in ISLM. So we already have a pre-created scenario. How does it look like? You define the name of a scenario, you give a description. Here we are creating a generative AI scenario. So you select the type as generative AI. You also have to define a prediction class where you define certain meta information about what is the endpoint URI that you have, and what is the kind of prediction that you require, whether you require online inference. Such key information or meta information can be defined in this ABAP class, which implements an ISLM interface. And then you also define what is an LM vendor and an LM model that needs to be used. So here we are using Xio or OpenAI GPT-4 model, and we define two prompt templates here. So before I talk about the prompt template, let me explain you the use case which I am talking about. So the use case which I have in mind is a very simple hypothetical use case where we want to leverage a large language model to some kind of summarize the different items of sales order into different categories. And based on the distance between the source and destination, we want the large language model to tell whether there will be a delivery delay and what would be the size of the vehicle required, right? So to achieve such a use case, we require prompt templates. So prompt templates are not the actual prompt, rather it's a representation of a prompt with certain placeholders, right? So I have a system prompt, which is like a meta prompt, where you tell what is the role which an LM model has to play. So we are telling the large language model that you are a sales representative. You have to evaluate the size of the vehicle. You have to summarize the items of a sales order into different categories. The subject of the email should be in a specific format. The body should be in a specific format. And if the distance between the source and destination is greater than certain kilometers, then you include a message about a delivery delay. And then we have the actual user prompt where the information that you see in this screen, we pass it. So we pass the different items of a sales order as a placeholder here. So this is just a definition of a prompt. It's a prompt template. So we define a placeholder here, and in the actual runtime, we'll be supplying the values of the sales order item when we are executing the prompts. And then you also pass what is your source and what is your destination from the screen, right? So this is just an example of how a user prompt could look like. You can also define certain default values if you have. Once this part is done, an intelligent scenario is created as an ABAP object. It's published, it's transported. The next step comes is to provision the generative AI hub service on BTP. So I have my own account where I have provisioned the generative AI hub service. And here you can see that I have created a service key for GenAI hub. And the next part would be how to then set up the connection, right? So here we have an IMG activity in ISLM, and then you could just upload a service key in ISLM. I just upload the service key and click on next in the web screen in the S4HANA backend, and you do the check connection, and you see that the connection to Generative AI Hub is already established. It's working. You can save the connection and then proceed further. So this step helps you to establish a connection between an intelligent scenario, which is on the S4 ABAP stack, to the Generative AI Hub BTP service, which is on the BTP. Once this connectivity is established, the next step would then be to go to the intelligent scenarios management app, and this is where you do the model management, model lifecycle management. So with generative AI, we know that these are all pre-trained models, which has already been trained on a huge amount of data. So there's no training which is required here. But what you need to do is to deploy the large language model. So you can deploy the model with a single click of a button here called deploy, and then activate the model. So what is the meaning of activation? Activation is like a control over your productive usage, right? You could have multiple deployments, and each deployment would maybe catering to a specific version of a large language model. In case I want to change the version, I could go for a different deployment. And then you could also decide out of multiple deployments, which are in the deployed status, which one should you use productively for your business apps or for your business process. And this is then resolved with the step of an activation. So there are two types of activation. One is like an activate for all, where you activate a deployment for all the users, or if you want to do an A to B testing or a local testing, you could just activate it only for a specific user in the system. So with this, all the lifecycle management aspects are done. I have created an intelligent scenario. I have defined the meta information. I have defined which large language models I want to use. I have defined the prompt templates. The connection is set up to Generative AI Hub. We have activated the intelligent scenario. And then comes how do you integrate this large language model into the screen, right? And this is where we offer then the ABAP AI SDK, where you just get simple ABAP APIs, where you can just pass the name of your intelligent scenario, and you get a factory instance. With that, you can define which is the system prompt you want to choose, what is your user prompt that you want to choose, and the dynamic parameters that were there in the user prompt, you can then fill it with the actual values in the runtime. So dynamic parameters, when I talked here in the user prompt, so it has the items of a sales order, it had the source and destination, all those things can be passed in the runtime actually. And then you know that the ILMs works with hyperparameters, right? So you can fine tune the results of large language models. So you can also decide what is a temperature, what is a token, and then you just execute your prompt and get the direct response, right, from the LM into a simple, yeah, format, and you can directly then consume the response and then integrate this response and show it in the screen. Okay, I'm just taking the simple screen, but it could be any app or any business process. It could be any app report, whatever. You could just leverage these ABAP APIs to get the results and execute your prompts directly or against a prompt template. And it supports the complete error and exception handling. So we raise the exceptions in case something goes wrong, and you can handle those exceptions and then proceed accordingly. So now I just click on generate, And this is where these APIs would then come here, right? These APIs would be called, and then this entire flow would run. So just you can see with simple 5 or 6 lines of code, we have got a result from a large language model in the S/4HANA ABAP stack, in private cloud, on-premise, and public cloud. And you can leverage and build your own custom AI use cases, even in on-premise, with the help of this approach. This was an end-to-end flow, how you can leverage a large language model and build your own custom generative AI-based use cases with ISLM. Going to the next slide. This is the last slide from my side. And then we can go to Q&A. So we talk about the roadmap of ISLM. So we started, our journey way back in 4 years back in 2020 SP01, and in on-premise and private cloud, and in public cloud we have been also delivering since then. The major focus from our side this year is to include more capabilities with respect to the generative AI-based scenarios and also with narrow AI. So we started with 2402, where we have allowed the possibility to create certain generative AI scenarios. We offered the connectivity to generative AI hub, the lifecycle management to deploy and activate such LLM models were offered from ISLM side. You also get a storage of prompt template on the ABAP front with the help of ISLM, and the ABAP APIs to execute the prompt. And with the second edition, or then the second quarter, then we also moved. This is something which will be available with 2408 and 2023 SP02, which was then auto activation of an AI use case, like the turnkey, what we talked about. And then the pre-delivered AI use cases, the premium AI use cases are only for RISE customers, but the custom creation for generative AI as well as narrow AI is for both RISE and on-premise customers. Right? It's for both the flavors that we offer. The difference here is only the pre-delivers are for the RISE customers as we talk, but yeah, custom creation will be open also for the on-premise customers to also try and build their own custom AI use cases. With narrow AI, also we enhanced and offer new scenarios like personalized recommendation AI service. And then we also offer a lot of Fury AI-based use cases to support dual roles and targets. One of the important, interesting notes also for on-premise and private cloud customers would be, we know that most of the customers are still in the lower releases in S/4HANA when it comes to private cloud and on-premise, and we are offering a lot of new capabilities from ISLM. So we are also then downporting all the latest enhancements from ISLM, the complete capabilities for narrow AI, Gen AI, everything to the lowest release of 2021 SP0. That this is the plan from our side. It's a roadmap. It's subjected to change. That's a disclaimer, but this is something that we are strongly working towards. And we also then offer a transport-based correction instruction, the TCIs, starting from 2021 SP0 till 2023. So that if the customers are in any release or any SP starting from 2021, they can leverage ISLM to even build their custom AI use cases in on-premise. We also offered ABAP AI SDK. So we saw this combined offering of ISLM and ABAP AI SDK. And with SDK, you can then get the APIs in the latest format and easy to use to integrate your AI models into a business process. We offer the end-to-end turnkey run so that even you don't have to toggle on the turnkey to auto-activate AI use case. And one of the important things that we are also working towards with the upcoming release is to also enable ISLM in SAP BTP cloud environment to build the custom use cases. That's a part of the clean core strategy. So ISLM will then also be enabled in Steampunk and embedded Steampunk. With future releases, we'll enhance our roadmap, offering more capabilities to support the ABAP BTP cloud environment, also with the native integration with ABAP developer tools. We also offer the integration with the orchestration service in Generative AI Hub to offer you a complete pipeline where you can then get the grounding, the content filtering, anonymization, and all the other modules for generative AI-based scenarios. We are also working to widen capability to the customers and partners to also extend the SAP delivered scenarios. So if it is a generative AI scenarios, it could be an extension in terms of a prompt template. With certain specific parts of the prompt templates could be changed, adopted is something which is in the pipeline. Plus, we know that the large language model also has a life cycle. The model gets deprecated, and these models are supported by hyperscalers. So we also then are working to notify such and such capabilities that your large language model has is deprecated and it's already active. Then we notify you in some way that you're working on a deprecated model, and then you should switch to the latest version. And with even with side by side scenarios, we also intend to offer extensibility so that customers can then also extend the narrow and generative AI scenarios and add their own custom features and targets to make the SAP delivered use case customized as per their needs. Right? So this is a lab preview version, and it's a roadmap which is subjected to change. But this is, in terms of releases, what we are offering, the most important ones. Yeah. And yeah, this is one of the QR codes. If you like, you can scan it. This is takes you to the link to the most important page in ISLM, which is a community topic page, which has all the assets available to learn ISLM, explore ISLM, get started, right? So you have hands-on guides, you have all the different YouTube videos about ISLM, you have podcasts, you have FAQs, help center documentation links and whatnot here. So just you can scan this QR code and get started. We will also be sharing the slide, and then you can find links to different things like the help center documentation. You have the YouTube videos, the community topic page, the roadmap explorer, the prerequisites to set up ISLM in private cloud and on-premise. And ISLM is also available as a part of S4HANA CAL appliance called Cloud Appliance Library, where the fully activated version of ISLM is available. So even though you're in a lower release and you want to leverage ISLM, you can just order a CAL appliance and leverage and build your own UI use cases, AI use cases, and get a flavor of ISLM, how to then leverage the pre-delivered use cases and then also the custom use cases with ISLM. So with this, I am done, and these are the contacts from our side. So do reach out to us in case you have any queries. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining the session. Yeah, we are open for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for all that information. I definitely learned a lot. Yeah, really, just thank you. I have a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions in the chat. So let's just maybe start with the questions so that we can answer as many as possible. And if you're wondering why my face looks so weird, I'm inside and the light keeps turning off. I have no idea why. I think it's kind of connected to the sun, and the sun never really comes out. So the light is always on. But now the sun came out. So I'm like half sun, half shadow. Anyway, questions. My first question is it's mine, and then I'm going to go to the chat just because I want to get this straight. So the ABAP AI SDK is always connected with ISLM, right? You always need ISLM to use the ABAP AI SDK. Oh, I can't hear you. I think are you muted?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah, to use ABAP AI SDK, you have to use ISLM
Okay,
because
cool.
now it's a combined offering, which is called ABAP AI SDK powered by ISLM.
Okay. Okay, then I'm going to go to the first question in the chat. Can we create our own machine learning algorithms in Python SDK and deploy it in SAP BTP or ISLM? The Python SDK with HANA, hold on. Yeah, so basically the question is, can we create machine learning models with the Python SDKs of, for example, like AI Core or HANA, and then use those models through ISLM?
Yes, I think you can do that. Yeah, you can create your models using Python SDKs, and then to leverage and utilize them in the S4HANA ABAP stack, you have to use ISLM, and that's where you need the ABAP coding to get the results from the models. That's where we offer ABAP APIs to you for both narrow and generative AI as well.
Yeah, that's actually also another question of mine. I wanted to ask if the personalized recommendation service is also available, but I saw that on your roadmap, so it is, right?
Yes, personalized recommendation is available. Also, yeah, offered from our side to also, yeah, for some of the pre-delivered use case like the maintenance order recommendation and even the custom creation, it will be allowed there.
Ah, cool. Then there's a question, is the ABAP GenAI SDK or the ABAP AI SDK for ISLM available now in S/4HANA? If yes, in which version? It is available, right? I think we saw that on the roadmap. Do you know the version, or the person should just check the slide?
Yeah, it will be available in the as for it's the question is for on-premise and private cloud, right? it will be available with 2023 SP3 as the
Okay.
open SP, and then we will also be providing a transport-based correction instruction. So yeah, I cannot give an exact timeline here, but at least in
Okay.
the next couple
It
of
will be.
months,
Okay.
the TCI should also be available.
Then we have a question. Can you parallelize requests for GenAI use cases?
Yeah, technically it can be done on the web side that you can trigger multiple parallel requests. You can do some parallel processings. Yeah, but in ISLM or ABAP ASDK, we don't have such a capability now to parallelize things on our own. Or yeah, technically should be possible on the web front
Okay.
to trigger multiple such requests. Yeah.
Um, okay, another question. Okay, so once enabled or set up in S4 HANA, would it be available to use an SAP build on BTP and create the user front end? I don't know if you can answer that. That's rather built question.
Yes, I'm not sure about this.
We can I can definitely get someone to answer some questions that we can't answer today in the SAP community. So just check out the post in the
Yeah.
SAP community later, and I'm going to get someone to answer this. Um, okay, could you please share the IMDT code in S4 you use to set up the connection to LLMs?
The connection to LMs is offered as a part of ISLM. So you get a IMG activity, and in Steampunk and embedded Steampunk, then ISLM will offer you a communication scenario, which will be a customer managed communication scenario to set up the connection to Generative AI Hub. There's no coding per se that is required, but you can, if you are leveraging ISLM, all the artifacts that are required to set up the connection between ABAP to Generative AI Hub is then taken care as a part of the framework. There's no
Okay.
coding that is required to do that.
Okay. Is it possible somehow to get large amount of transactional data for a partner in order to train embedded AI models into S4 Cloud?
It basically requires a business data, right? So you should have, for using leveraging the classical or a narrow AI, you need to have such kind of a business data to build a classical or a narrow AI model. To get the data in public cloud, at least I'm not sure. I mean, this is something which is outside the scope of ISLM to get such kind of a data. Uh, yeah, but definitely in on-premise or private cloud, you have more control over the backend. You can build your own custom reports to do that.
And one question I think is kind of related to one question that I had, which is basically about the use case that you shared. So the question is, does this support structured and unstructured data? And I think we have to kind of differentiate here. So obviously, when you use ISLM and S4, there will be a lot about structured data because we are in S4. But large language models in general are obviously for unstructured data. And that was actually also my question. Could you just kind of summarize your use case again and how you make this connection between like the structured data you have in S4 and then using generative AI?
Yeah, ISLM can work with both structured and unstructured data. So these kind of stuff, whether it's structured data or unstructured data, is then taken care by the AI services on BTP side, right? Certain services like document information extraction is completely supporting unstructured data, where you have a PDF document, you upload it, PDF could be in any format, or you could work with data attribute recommendation, which is completely structured data, tabular Excel data. That depends upon what is the AI service or the technology that you're using. With ISLM, we support both. So it could be a large language model, which is a globally trained model. You don't require to train any model, whether it's structured, unstructured, it does not matter. You can work with both these cases in with ISLM. And if it is structured, then we also offer a way to extract the data, because such data in SAP S/4HANA will be in some database tables. So we also offer then the CDS views, where you can define your CDS views with which ISLM could extract the data and send it to ML runtime for training. So yeah, these capabilities are then possible with ISLM.
Ah, okay. And for example, in your use case, you sent a prompt, so unstructured data, but you
Yeah,
added some information from your S4 system.
correct.
So you added like some table element or something from your system and you turned it into unstructured data basically to get a prediction, right? And then you wrote that prediction back into a table
Application.
application. Okay. I hope that answers the question. It definitely answered mine. A lot of new questions came in. I'm just going to check the time. We have a couple of minutes left, so let me just check. Can we read attachments in the SAP documents, for example? Maybe the question is about the document information extraction service, and there, yes, you can read documents.
Yes, you can read the documents. You can fetch the. So if you upload a document to document information extraction, then document information extraction, it provides you a way to extract the header and line item information from such documents, and then you can get the extracted results back from docs. So there
Yeah.
are APIs available for document information extraction.
Okay, and for example, if we want to use one of the large language models that can also include images, like the vision large language models, like GPT-4o, can you also send an image through ISLM to the model?
Currently, images are not possible.
Okay, cool.
We just allow a simple prompt in a string format.
Okay, sorry, that's fine. I was just curious. Yeah, it was just a question. Does this support multi-model? So no, not yet, but I'm assuming that's the plan at some point, right?
Multi-model is supported. So, I mean, if the question can be written in a more detailed way, I can then answer precisely. But at least my understanding about a multi-model is that you can have multiple models based on a context, or like you want to have different models for different company codes, for example, and then you want to activate them for a specific context. That means for a company code 1, you want to have a separate active model. For company code 2, you want to have a separate active model. This is supported with ISLM. You can
Okay,
have
yeah,
multiple.
that's the multimodal, but the question was multimodal, which is like this text, images, audio, video.
Okay.
So how some large language models can only process text to text, some can process text and images to text and stuff like that. So the question was about the modality. Sorry, maybe I pronounced that wrong. Is it possible to connect S4 ISLM to LLMs deployed not on GenAI Hub, for example, directly from Azure OpenAI?
No, that is not possible because
And you
directly
shouldn't do that.
we have a direct integration with Generative AI Hub. So
Yeah.
whatever models are supported by GenAI Hub is then supported with ISLM and web-based.
Yeah. Okay. Voice prompts for ISLM in case of warehouse if they use RF for picking deliveries. Any ideas on that question? So basically, other voice prompts are not possible, I guess. Let me just set that already.
At least I'm also not aware of it.
Okay, I think those were all the questions. If I missed any, you can also always add them in the SAP community post for this event, and then we will check back there later. Let me just check my questions. No, they're also all answered. Then I just want to remind everyone to join the Devtoberfest group, so that you can check on all the upcoming sessions and all the other information, and join the contest. And I will be posting the validation tutorial for other sessions today later after the last session. I'm going to post it under each video and also in the SAP community events. And next week we will have a break for TechEd. Make sure you also check out Virtual TechEd. There will be lots of cool announcements and sessions to watch. My team will also have sessions. We will have 4 keynote deconstructed sessions where you can check out for example, the JavaScript SDK for GenAI Hub and things like that. And make sure you also check the Jumpstart sessions. Those are basically hands-on sessions. And some of those sessions can also earn you points. And we will be posting then the contest information next week on the coming weeks. So right after Virtual TechEd, the week from the 14th of October, I think, Devtoberfest continues for 2 more weeks. Yeah, with that, I just want to thank you so much again, Abhishek. It was really, really great to have you. I learned a lot. I think the audience did too from all the questions. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And with that, goodbye and enjoy TechEd next week.
Thank you. Bye.